Yeah, the big story we're tracking this evening, the Karnataka government has moved the Supreme Court against Jayalalitha's acquittal in the disproportionate assets case. In its petition, the Karnataka government called Jayalalitha's acquittal illegal and a farce. In its appeal, the government says Jaya's acquittal has resulted in the miscarriage of justice. Hence, the state government wants a stay on the order of the High Court. This comes almost a month after the Karnataka High Court acquitted the AIA-DMK chief in the disproportionate assets case, following which the special prosecutor in the case alleged mathematical error in the judgment. Jayalalithaa was acquitted by the Karnataka High Court in May, paving the way for her return as Tamil Nadu Chief Minister after the single-judge bench of Justice C.R. Kumaraswamy quashed all charges against her and her aides. The High Court set aside her conviction and 4-year sentence, which a trial court handed down to her in September 2014. The government contended that the High Court judgment committed a grave mistake in totaling Jaya's assets worth 37.59 crores and Jaya's income worth 21.27 crores. This, it said, resulted in the erroneous decision that the disproportionate assets was only to the tune of 8.12% of the income, which actually works it out to 76.7%. Let's get a word from our Deputy Editor Rohini Swami, who's with us live from Bangalore this evening. Rohini, finally the Karnataka government moving the Supreme Court against Jayalalitha's acquittal. Take us through what exactly happened there before this final decision was taken.
Well, there was a lot of involved a lot of political decision, because the Karnataka state government was deliberating it for quite some time whether they need to file this special leave petition or not. But they had a lot of people who were advising them, and senior counsels also coming into picture. But most importantly, they also sought the advice of the special public prosecutor, Mr. B.V. Acharya, who earlier also was involved in this case but had resigned in between due to politicking, which he mentioned also in his book later. But later we saw how the Karnataka government finally decided to go ahead with it, and today finally the special leave petition was filed, a copy of which I have here with me. And this copy that we have got on India Today very clearly talks about the disproportionate assets, because the whole petition is run into thousands of pages, but the most important point of this whole petition is also about the disproportionate assets. If I can quickly read through it, one point that is the only point that is most important is the fact that saying that the total assets that are owned by Jayalalithaa were 37 crores, a total income was around 21, and the percentage of disproportionate assets is 76.7% based on the calculation that has been given and made by, especially when the High Court order also was given, as opposed to the 8% that the High Court judge, Justice Kumaraswamy, had said. And he had also applied a particular formula which is used in a particular case called the Krishna and Agnihotri case, and said because it is below 10%, that is why Jayalalithaa and all her associates were let off, and that the disproportionate assets that belonged to her was below 10%, was already 8.2. The calculation shows that if you actually calculate, it shows 76.7%. This is one of the main reasons they're going to be arguments that they're going to be taking forward, especially in the Supreme Court. What we also have been getting to understand from Mr. Acharya himself, who I've been speaking to, and Mr. Sandeep Chota, is that they've also been going to impress upon the Supreme Court that they did not get enough time. They just got around 24 hours time to actually file their reply, especially to the judge, especially when the arguments were on in the Jayalalithaa case. Right. That is also because we had seen how initially Mr. B.V. Acharya, after being removed, there was Mr. Bhavani Singh was brought, and his appointment was shown null and void. Mr. B.V. Acharya came back, but he got only 24 hours. Now the interesting part about this whole case being now is that the Supreme Court is in vacation, and so we'll only see if this petition has been admitted by somewhere around the first week of July. But it'll be interesting to note to see what the Supreme Court judgment will be on this case.
Absolutely, Rohini. Thanks so much for that update. Rohini, they're pointing out that this matter will be taken up after